Hey, anybody out there? Who's this lady on there, or guy that was talking about I had too much time on my hands? Yeah, okay. Apology accepted. And I don't really have too much time on my hands. I just have a lot of interest. That's a problem. And yes, I have been a PI for my entire life. My entire working life. I sold agencies in Michigan, Florida, Chicago. I hold a PI license now, but I really haven't done too much of it. The last 5 or 6 years, I plan on doing some more again. But seems like I come up with one excuse after another. Being a PI is a difficult job. I always went where the regular assignments were, which generally involved insurance companies. There's no real money in following husbands and wives. In a state like Michigan, where it's no fault divorce, it really doesn't do you much good. Uh, you can find out where a spouse is fooling around, and the judge doesn't give a shit. It really doesn't matter. But back in the day, it did. I probably did 15 or 20 cases of following people and, spousal type deals. And they were a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. With insurance companies, they pay insurance companies, self insured, third party administrators, anybody involved in employment. But what's happened over the years is there's been a lot of workers' comp reform, there's been return to work programs. The state restructured some of the laws, so it's difficult to get compensation like you used to. So the PI business as a whole has really kind of dwindled. It's nothing like it was when I started a long time ago. I suppose there are other things to do, but for what I did, it's kind of a slim piece of pie. I may end up, trying to promote it again and do it, but just kind of burned out. I've been a PI for 35 years. Like to do something different, but when you get this age, not a lot of choices. I haven't thought about going to law school or maybe getting in a PhD program. I looked around a little bit, just something different, where I could just screw around for another 3 or 4 years and go to school. Law school is kind of like the same deal. I looked at different law schools, and I'd probably go to Toledo if I went someplace. Probably the only place that let me in. So that's the deal. And other people have emailed me about aviation. Yeah, I've been a pilot for a long time. I think probably 30 years, 30 plus years. But I haven't really flown at all. Jeez. I haven't really flown much in, let's see, 20 years, and probably haven't flown a plane in the last 10. And actually, I'm kind of burned out in aviation too. Plus, it's so ridiculously expensive now. It was always an expensive hobby, but nothing like it is now with increased fuel costs and just the idea in getting in a Cessna 172 or something and flying 200 miles is just too boring. And what else? I get emails all the time asking me things. Yeah, I do have a dog, that little black dog that I have. Her name's Daisy. She was a rescue dog. Some people had it up in Gaylord, Michigan. I had an older neighbor that I drove to Gaylord to get it 5 years ago, and we picked it up from some people that had only had it a short time. She had it for a year, then went into kind of an assisted living care facility. So I took the dog over, and honest to God, it wouldn't take $1 million. I've had a lot of dogs, and this is, I hate to say it, the best one yet. Super smart. And yeah, I do live in West Branch, Michigan. I've lived in Florida for 5 years. I have a bed and breakfast down there. I lived in Chicago for about, 15. Lived in Georgia for a while. Lived in Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, Detroit, Dearborn. And now I ended up in West Branch, Michigan. I came up here to kind of help a sister of mine who was having some health difficulties and just stayed. So I've been into antiques big time in the past too. I was a hardcore collector for like 35 years. And I decided to sell my collection a year or two ago. I still have 95% of it. But I sold all my stained glass, and that's about it. I have a couple pieces left, but not many. I had a couple buildings rebuilt in the town I live in. I've been trying to sell them for like 3 years. I haven't even gotten any offers. The real estate market's dead, especially for projects like that. And I haven't really worked much in the last 5 years. I mean, I keep saying I'm gonna, and I think I probably will. It just hasn't happened yet. I promised myself for the new year I'm gonna actually market. It's very difficult to get new work as a PI. I suppose it's difficult for anybody selling insurance or whatever. But I'm just dreading doing that all over again. So as I've said before, you can always call me, email me or text me and whatever, and I'd be glad to videotape or photograph any place you'd like me to do that, that where I go. I do have a fascination for Detroit. I grew up not far from there, Flat Rock, Michigan. I prefer like the blight and the bad neighborhoods. And, I was doing that a long time ago before YouTube ever came around. I wish I had some of my old aviation videos or took video when I was flying and I could have put them on YouTube. It would have been so great. But I've only been a YouTuber, I think, for like 11 years or something like that. And I did still photography for actually my whole life up until then. I mean, I didn't really do it hardcore till probably 30 years old or something like that. I photographed pretty much all the national parks in the wintertime, black and white, large format. Then I fooled around with like the stuff I do now, 35 millimeter. A lot of those photographs that I take that I kind of just put together and upload or on the run, I'm taking them as I'm driving. Some aren't, a lot of them are. I'm doing a little better job than I used to. I used to be a lot worse. Now I'm trying to at least get the correct exposure a little bit better than rather than just shooting out the window. So that's about it. It's surprising how many like personal emails I get where people don't post. I did get some Christmas cards made of Zug Island, and I got some other things made through that Vistaprint, where I photograph and take pictures of in Detroit. So if anybody wants one, if you email me at tomreed, REED 1956 at gmail.com, I'd be glad to send you one. I know they're waiting for me at the post office, and I haven't went down there to get them. So for the people I've promised them to, don't worry, you'll be getting them. I got to go down and get them first. And what else? I do work out a lot. I mean, I just started working out a lot lately. I've always kind of been that way my whole life. And what else? Oh, yeah, I got a couple emails the other day. I've been separated from my wife for going on 21 years, if you can believe it. She lives in Florida, and I live in Michigan. And she can't afford my half of some property down there, and I get my insurance through her work. So life goes on. And at this age, I don't really have any interest in dating or anything like that. I mean, my girlfriend's a pet sparrow that I feed once a week during the winter. I could never figure out when I was younger how older people like didn't have an interest in dating. I think, why not? You have money, you got access. Well, I know why now. What do you do when you work out? Yeah, I've been a pretty hardcore weightlifter my whole life. I do everything, bench press, curls, triceps. Like tonight I had a leg workout. I still work out pretty hard. I haven't really noticed that much different. I look a little different, but not like a lot different like you'd think. I probably could lose like 10 pounds or something like that, but I don't care. I eat what I want. I usually work out really late like I did tonight. And, I'm a big fan of YouTube myself. Hell, I watch YouTube about 2 or 3 hours a day. Got a lot of interest, aviation, and big animal nut, bird migration, lectures. It's funny, you can put some video up like I do of Zug Island. and it'll get a lot of views. But particularly interviews with the working girls, and you get a neurosurgeon. He'll get 10 views. I'll get 10,000. It's weird. What do you do when you work out? Okay, this pops up again. Why are you splitting up? What do you want to date? You're gonna want to. No, I don't want to date. I swear to God, I don't. I had one girlfriend in the last 20 years, and to be honest with you, I couldn't wait to get rid of her. I'm just kind of a loner, does my own thing. I don't really care to tell you the truth. People always say that. People are always trying to set me up with people up here. God damn it. I'm sure I probably look the same to them. But when I look at women that went to my high school now, God damn it, I hardly even recognize them. You know, they're grandmothers now. I mean, I could be a grandfather now, but you know, when it's yourself, you don't really think of it that way. I don't think of it any different now than I did when I was 20 years old and had girlfriends at Michigan State. But there's a big difference, like huge difference. So I think I'd rather just stick around and enjoy my hobbies. And my hobby, a lot of it has to do with like driving around. What do you mean when you work out? Are you talking to the stream? Yes. We could all gain. Yeah, as you get older, that's true. I know I'm not as strong as I was when I was younger, but not that far off, to tell you the truth. What else? I was riding a bike a lot. I've got 3 bikes: a recumbent bike, a 10-speed bike, and a mountain bike. I was riding the hell of those last year, all winter long. Ride up to Tim Hortons, get a coffee, ride back. It's like 2.5 miles. So I was averaging about 5 miles a day. But you know, I know one guy that got killed. He fell. I know another guy got hit. He died. And I know 2 other guys that got in other kind of accidents. And I just said, you know what, I'm not riding these things. I like them, but it's really not good exercise either. Yes, it is difficult to cohabitate. You got that right. I don't think you could pay me to live with somebody. I'd drive nuts. You just change as you get older. That or you've done it so long you don't want it anymore. I can't figure it out. Yeah, I'm curious, like when you guys were watching this live, they just up like surfing YouTube channels and then you like a live thing comes up or what? I'm not really sure how it works. I know one thing I'm sure about though. Dragon's Milk beer. Have one of these every once in a while I'm surfing old YouTube. It's great. If you've never had Dragon's Milk beer, get it. It's kind of expensive, $15 for a 4-pack, but it's aged in bourbon barrels. It's great. 69 Go, hey, how are you? I don't remember when I subscribed to you. Well, thank you, Wendy. Lily Duncan, yes on the side. Yes on the side of what, Lily? I was actually kind of surprised that the audio's so good on this. It really is. I got to come up with a better photograph for when I set up this live. Yes, on the side. I saw the live video pop up. Okay, yeah, I wondered how that worked. I've never watched a live video. I mean, there's a couple of them on there where it'll show like a light outside a party store in Vermont. I watched that. Was watching other vids. Well, thank you, Lily. Lily, where do you live? Where are you from? I noticed lately, it's probably the way YouTube markets you, but I've been getting a lot more people from Canada, which is nice. Watching the videos, posting comments, that kind of thing. Metro Detroit, yeah. I'm from Flat Rock originally. Wendy, where are you from? You from Michigan or someplace else? Watching one about Michael. Yeah, you're talking about Tassie? I didn't get noticed of you. Like it came up on the home field. See, I was watching one about Tassie. I'll tell you, Tassie. Of all the women that I interviewed down there, Tassie is the best story there is. She was at absolute rock bottom. I have 2 videos up of her. She actually ended up going to rehab, is in a relationship, living in the suburbs, off alcohol and drugs, and doing great. She's actually doing fine. I'm not a Facebook guy. I hate Facebook. But she's actually a friend of mine on Facebook. I was introduced to her through her sister. But Tassie's my all-time story for someone that survived from the streets. Penny got murdered. Kelly died from an unrelated heart problem. Angel was murdered. And there are 4 or 5 other girls that I didn't know very well that never interviewed, and they're all dead too. They call them hot packs. Heroin spiked with fentanyl. And as crazy as it sounds, those were some of the most interesting times of my life. To be honest with you, I've struggled with depression big time my whole life. And a lot of that late night Detroit, going in and out of those vacant buildings and being in those neighborhoods, was just about the only thing left that interested me. Now that it's getting nice, I don't feel like going down there as much. But Detroit did me a lot of favors when I didn't feel like doing anything else. I wish the place well. So, what's up with good music and video, buddy? Clarence Parker. Yeah, I've talked about this before, but I pay for all that music. It's not like bootleg stuff. And even when I pay for it, 20% of it is kicked off. They delete the video. I can give you an example. Prince, Carole King, Al Green. You don't know until you upload it, but videos that you don't see that I put music to. I use some of that canned free music, but usually it's so shitty I don't want to attach it to a video. And since I've been a kid, it's the soundtrack in movies that made me remember things. I don't think any of these videos would be that great if it wasn't for the music attached to them. I mean, like a I-75 driving video. What the hell would that be worth watching if you didn't hear the music? Yeah, I love going through it. And all the music that I attached to the videos is something that I liked in the past or something I'll be listening to on the radio. Then I'll go look it up and buy it. It's like $1.25 a song, something like that. It's worth it though, but there are strings attached to some of them, which I don't mind. Yep. I usually check most people that tune in that make comments or send me emails. I always kind of look up their channels and subscribe to them if they have one. You guys would be surprised at what people find interesting. I encourage everybody to get a phone or a camera and start your own YouTube channel. It's fun. My YouTube channel would be nothing without those interviews with those women in Detroit. And to be honest with you, they sat around for years. And I didn't get 25 or 30 views. And then all of a sudden, YouTube recommended one. People get on your channel. And that's how I ended up getting 20,000 subscribers. I mean, I went from 700 subscribers to 20,000 in about 3 months. And it was all because of those interviews with the women downtown Detroit. It wasn't through any of this other stuff that I uploaded. So if anybody's got any questions or anything, fire away. It's just weird talking when nobody's saying anything. Really is. Here's my cheap Chinese watch. Setting the alarm off. Clarence, I had a bro that died due to Detroit. Oh yeah, what happened there? What happened to your brother down in Detroit? Yeah, I'd like to know that. Heroin, yeah, you're not kidding, man. That heroin, I'll tell you, I've learned one thing, and that's the scourge of humankind. That it ruins so many lives. There's nothing that I've witnessed that's worse than heroin. I'm not shitting you. I've seen pretty good, successful girls from nice family backgrounds come and just absolutely put them in a grave within a couple of years. Angel had a lot to offer. That damn heroin, though. I'm not a druggie. I mean, it's not over yet. Maybe I'll become one. I hope not. It's debatable whether or not marijuana is a gateway drug, but it seems like everybody that eventually goes to heroin smoked marijuana first. I don't know if that's because marijuana was easy access, or it's just how old you were and that's where you knew you could get it, and then you graduated to other things. But take Kelly, for example, that died here 6 months ago. Kelly was the sweetest, nicest woman you'd ever meet in your life. Her family loved her, particularly her nieces. Everywhere she worked as a waitress, they loved her. And she could not get off that goddamn heroin. They get to the point where it's so debilitating. They can't work a job. They don't want to go through rehab because it's such a pain in the ass. They take their cell phone, they're in a confined space, they get cut off from their friends. If they have a boyfriend or girlfriend, they get axed. It's just rehab isn't what you think it would be, which is why so many people don't go. Yeah, 69 goat, yeah. There's a genetic component to addiction. I'm a 100% believer in that. Alcoholism as well. They've done some pretty interesting studies on identical twins that were separated at birth, where different families adopted them and they both end up being alcoholics or drug addicts. And they're 3,000 miles apart. So yeah, you're right. There's a genetic component to it. And some of these women, I tell people and they don't want to hear it, they don't want to be helped. They're so far down in the damn dungeon. They've accepted that in their life, and they're not quitting. Who was it who told me? I've had some woman tell me down there that she was never going to quit heroin, and that her family and friends were going to have to accept it. And if they couldn't, then it would be best if they just went their own way. That sucks. And now with this, this fentanyl, it's the black market fentanyl. Most of it comes in through China, shipped in through Vancouver, and they cut it in heroin. And it's lights out because you never know what you're getting or how high the dose is. There were 2 Dearborn Heights cops near Detroit that died from that 3 or 4 years ago. They were fucking around with it in their garage. I'm sure they were just trying to get high, and it killed them both. So it cuts through all phases of society. I got to figure out in this chat, like these questions will come up or people asking me stuff, and it's like only 3 seconds. And then they disappear. It's a pain in the ass. So there's questions that I haven't answered, but I haven't answered them because they disappeared. And now maybe they'll come up, maybe they won't. Maybe it only comes up when somebody else starts typing again. But I'm always interested in what you guys are doing as well. It's interesting to talk to people or communicate with them when they have common interests. In this small town I live in, forget it. I could take all the videos and all the interests I have and talk to somebody about around here, and it'd be pretty unlikely that they think it was fun. People already think I'm nuts for going to Detroit all the time. It's 180 miles one way. But I don't mind because I'm from down around there. Flat Rock, a suburb about 20 miles south. So it doesn't seem to me like I'm driving 180 miles. So that's about it. 10 to 1, wow. Well, I stay up too late, I guess. Well, I appreciate you guys coming in and checking in. Shit. Night owls. 1:45. My dad's a firefighter. Yeah, many heroin emergencies. I believe it. They're using that Narcan now, shooting these guys with it. There's a lot of heroin where I live. I made my way up to meth from weed from my best friend when I was a teen. Though I imagine crack or heroin might have killed me the first time around. God, man. Well, congratulations to you for making it out of there. It's not easy. Meth. There was a waitress up here where I used to eat all the time. She got in just shitloads of trouble messing around with meth. Ended up costing her marriage and job and every other goddamn thing. She ended up going downstate someplace. I don't know where, but it was sad to see her fall like that. And somebody just made a comment about, was it 8-balling or something? Yeah, I wonder what you're talking about there. I think an 8-ball is It's heroin and something else, and it's all put into one mix. Yeah, I know a couple other guys that knew people that died of that. Hemingway to meth. I imagine crack or heroin might have killed me the first time around. Yeah, glad you never had speedball. Yeah, that's what it is. Yep, speedball. There's a shitload of drugs. You know, up in northern Michigan, everybody thinks it's deer hunting and water skiing in the summer. There are a ton of drugs up here. They have a huge drug problem. They're busting people with heroin all the time, crack, weed, you name it. I mean, it's crazy. Of course, it all comes up from Detroit. They have a huge drug problem here. Everywhere up north, the UP, whatever. Cadillac is bad, probably is. I mean, everywhere is bad. You go on the east side, like Tawas, Oscoda, Sheboygan, Mackinac City, just loaded with drugs. Of course, Bay City, Saginaw, Flint, huge drug problems. They have drug problems on the west side, the more affluent area, Traverse City, Petoskey, Charlevoix, going up the other way. I mean, drugs are an epidemic, man, big time. The cops are always catching people. I don't know if you guys know that singer that was on The View, Laith El-Sadi. He's a killer guitar player from Ann Arbor. I was going to see that guy when he was making $10 an hour playing in bars in Ann Arbor. And he took, like, I don't know, 5th place or 3rd place on The View. And he got nailed with fentanyl, heroin, and some other shit back in March, coming back from a concert in Sault Ste. Marie in Gaylord, Michigan. I read his arraignment, and that was a while, and I haven't read anything about a trial or a plea agreement or a court appearance. So I don't know what the status is with him, but I mean, I'm sure that's going to put his career on hold for a while. It was recreational, made music, chilled the night. It was never fun after a day. The exhaustion. Yeah, Michael, I know that drugs. I never fooled with them, to tell you the truth. I seem like a kind of guy that would. I don't know why I didn't. My parents were both boozers, prescription pill poppers, but it really never interested me. I mean, I drink a few beers here and there. I'm sure I've been legally drunk plenty of times, but I've never, like, passed out or anything like that. So I guess I'm lucky. Never smoked. I mean, I just didn't have an interest in it. I've done all sorts of other crazy shit, but it just didn't happen to be anything involving alcohol or drugs. I think a drunk driving ticket costs you about 15 grand now when it's all said and done. So it's not worth it. Michael, where are you from? Yeah, I don't really get too many people that are like from up north very often. It's been a cold winter too. We haven't got that much snow, but it started freezing early here. I do have a lot of videos up on birds. I'm a big bird watcher, believe it or not. I actually bred tropical parrots for 4 years. Lily Duncan, Public Health. These vids are super raw and so important. Yeah, thank you, Lily. I appreciate it. I bred tropical birds for about 4 years. I actually had about 3,000 pairs, all the macaws, Amazons, and I bred dromedary camels as well, the single hump. There wasn't any money in it. I had 20 acres down there in Florida, and I needed a tax break, so you had an agricultural residential exemption. I tried horses. They'll ruin all the trees. I tried cattle, pain in the ass. That's how I ended up with camels. Public health, didn't miss much. Yeah, I'll have to wait till that comes up again. So I've done a lot of different things, which is why I'm kind of dragging my ass. I mean, I have enough stuff. I have, I think I showed a video on that one time. Maybe I didn't. If any of you guys are ever interested in photography or, Civil War letters, stuff like that, I have literally thousands of them. Lovebirds, cockatoo, macaw as well. 69 goat. Yeah, like I said, I had 3,000 birds. I set up a professional aviary. What a pain in the ass. If you ever watched Unsolved Mysteries, you guys are probably too young. I was an Unsolved Mysteries fan. I loved it. and my neighbors got murdered. Moses and Delilah Lall, Lall. If you Google it, and they lived about 3 miles from me. The guy that delivered birdseed to me realized something was going on. A bunch of the parrots died. They never found him. Google it. It's interesting. Moses and Delilah Lall. I was a private detective in Florida at the time, but I was like up to my ass in problems and trying to build a house and deal with these birds, and I just didn't want to do it. I just felt I'd do a half-ass job, and I didn't do it. I did do one favor for the sheriff's department down there. If anybody's interested in birds, they were expensive then. They were about 10 grand for a hand-fed chick. They're hyacinth macaws. And Moses and Delilah Law had a few of those, and those were gone. They didn't find them dead in the cage, and the sheriff's department had me go down to South Miami to a bird breeder to see if I noticed them, why I bullshitted them like I was looking to buy one. I did not. I didn't notice them down there. Yeah, I'll tell you that if I'd have stayed in, hey Malka, Ringo, accept your apology. Fantassa 891, what's going on? Hey, how are you? I got out of that tropical bird breeding stuff at the last moment. If I'd have stayed in that one more year, I'd have lost every goddamn dime I had. There's a famous veterinarian down there, Susan Clubb. She takes care of all parrot jungle stuff and stuff like that. She's a well-known avian vet in the world, really. She was the vet that I used. She went broke. I know about 5 people that went bankrupt. One more year in that business, and shit, I'd have been working 2 jobs to pay rent. So I got out at the right time. Got lucky. Do not breed tropical birds. You know, I was under the impression that I would, run a top-notch facility and have clean, healthy parrots and no bullshit and reasonable prices. You'll never meet a bigger bunch of scumbags in your life than pet shop owners. I put them one notch below human trafficking and drugs. These are the shittiest, crappiest people you ever meet in your life. What is this stream about? Everything. It's all, just talking about hobbies. I get emails and stuff, and what am I going to do? Put a video up about my life? It sucks. It's too boring. So I get on these audio versions of a live chat. I don't mind talking about it. It's so much easier than answering videos. The parrot. Wow, that's pretty freaking low. Which part? Yeah, what else did I do? That's about it, really. I mean, I've led a boring life. Everybody thinks being a private detective is some great, exciting life. It's the opposite. You'd be a great PI if you were overweight, didn't have any friends, and didn't mind sitting in a vehicle for 10 hours straight. It's not at all like TV portrayed it. It's boring. I don't think I could do surveillance again. The pet shop owners being along the likes, yeah, it is, man. Pet shop owners are the biggest shitbags you'll even ever meet in your life. You may know somebody that's a pet shop owner that's a decent person. Well, I can tell you I never met one. They'll lie, take crappy care of the birds, not pay you. Just a bunch of fucking idiots. I would send them baby birds. The trick with baby birds is you raise them, you hand feed them, so they're tame, and then if the people know what they're doing, you would sell them to them, and they would finish them off. That way you don't have this bird in your house trying to bite off everybody's fingers. And these people would buy these birds. They were priced accordingly. The older they were, if they were hand-fed, the more you charged. The younger they were cheaper. And these people they just never knew what they were doing. A lot of times you had to give these baby birds warm food. It was right on the verge of where it would burn them. And even though you'd show these people 100 times how to do it, they'd still burn the crops of the birds. A big bacteria that kills a lot of birds is called Pseudomonas. That's what does in burn patients. Once that gets going, it's lights out. So it was always dealing with, showing these clowns how to do stuff, them doing a shitty job or not at all, the bird's dying, having a dispute. God damn, I was so glad to get out of that. I was lucky. Always interested in being a PI. Well, I can tell you anything you want to know about it. I've been licensed in about 5 states. 2 states are a bitch to get licensed in. When I originally got licensed as a private detective in Michigan, we were licensed by the state police. And I got in because I fucked around and I went and barely got a degree. I went to a junior college and then I transferred to Eastern Michigan University, which anybody could get into at the time. And I fucked around and ended up getting a degree barely. I think I had a 2.1 grade point average in criminal justice. Well, in Michigan, a 4-year degree in criminal justice was kind of a big thing at the time. And most places didn't check your grades, and it didn't matter with licensing. So the state police in Michigan, they would accept that as experience. They'd go and make sure you weren't a damn axe murderer on your days off, and you get a license. And now it's even less than that. I just got my PI license here a couple years ago because I didn't have one in Michigan, and we get our licenses from the same place that a barber does or a makeup artist. It's a joke. I have a missing sister since 1980 here in Montreal. Don't know if she's dead or alive. Yeah, I'd help you if I could. You know, I have my private detective license, but I haven't really done anything in probably the last 5 years. People ask me to do things, but to get the good stuff, you have to show your license and you have to apply to places like LexisNexis, which will allow a PI to get into the good stuff. And I'm not signed up for any of that stuff now because they're minimum charges. And I don't want to be paying that bill every month when I don't have any customers. You can find some decent stuff on the internet, but it's not as good as what a licensed PI can get. You can, I don't know anything about Canada. Another scam PIs will run is people that were adopted. You know, for years, most adoptions, at least in Michigan, went through Catholic Social Services. And those records are all suppressed. The mother doesn't know where the baby went. The baby doesn't know who the mother is. Now, Michigan finally came up with a program where there was an agency where you could send a letter to, and it would sit around. So if a kid sent a letter to the agency and the birth mother sent a letter to the agency, they would allow them to exchange identifying information. You got limited identifying information before. Say you were adopted and you had some chronic or congenital condition like, breast cancer. They would allow you to obtain the medical records without any identifying information from the mother to see if there was any genetic component of your birth mother. But that was it. And these PIs would, pretend like they could find out who the parents were, a bunch of bullshit. When records are suppressed, you're screwed. You may get lucky talking to a relative, but other than that, it's a big scam. I would in no way hire a private detective for that. Like I said, back in the 80s and early 90s, I had Yellow Page listings in like 5 different cities. And I never got calls for background investigations on people that were going to get married or really not that many calls on following husbands or wives. A bunch of bullshit. There's so much you could invest. How did you even go for advertising like that? Need help? I'll tell you, I always went after the work that I was looking for. I had web pages, websites. They don't do shit. There's so many PIs looking for work all the time that nobody has to go to a website. I went with the insurance companies, third-party administrators, and self-insured. So people that funded their own self-insured. The money is working for corporations. It's not working for individuals. So I market them directly. Cold calling, believe it or not. Going to seminars, functions for the industry. They used to have a big self-insured convention in Michigan at the Grand Traverse Resort. You'd meet people there, that kind of thing. About half the people, they'll send some good-looking guy or good-looking girl to open a booth and hand out business cards. That's how you get work. It's tough. Too true about adoption. Yeah. Thanks, Malka. So if you're adopted, I mean, good luck. Don't let anybody rip you off. They'll charge like $1,500 for a flat rate fee. In other words, whether they find you or whether they don't, your parents or not, they don't. It's a bunch of bullshit. Oh, I seem quite smart, intelligent. Well, believe me, I'm not. I do some stupid shit. I mean, I've never really gotten in trouble. As I've told people before, I have had like huge problems with depression. It ran in the family, and I do struggle with that, I'll tell you that. I think it gets worse as you get older. I had a psychiatrist tell me that about 20 years ago. I kind of blew it off. Like, you would think things got better. It's the same thing with the evolution of human beings. Theoretically, humans should evolve away from drugs and alcohol. They shouldn't gravitate toward them. Well, you'd think you'd get a break, and that if you suffered from depression, things may get better, as you got older. No way. I am too interested in what you were focused on investigating. What I am, 95% of my work, a TPA is a third-party administrator. And that is a company that administrates a company's workers' comp claims. The company gets approved by the state that they have enough funding to pay the claims. Then they get a third-party administrator to manage those claims. They use the company's money, but they do the administration. Because if you're not familiar with Michigan law, you'll get your ass handed to you. So you get a place like maybe a guy that owns a huge machine shop, or he has 3 locations. He's got the money to fund his own claims, but he doesn't have the faintest idea how to handle them. Where people go to rehab, days, times, you have a lot of time requirements. If you're not into claims, you're going to get nailed by the state. That would be one big client for me. And then self-insureds like General Motors. I did a lot of work for the car companies, self-insureds. And those were my big companies. And sometimes I would just work for the insurance companies directly. People that wrote a lot of workers' comp and a lot of general liability. So if you busted your ass in Walmart on a banana peel, although that's changed quite a bit, and said you couldn't work anymore, I would videotape you bowling. The trick of it is getting you out of your restrictions. If you go to your doctor and he says that you can't lift over 3 pounds and I get you bowling in a league, it's game over. Credibility is everything in a work comp claim. So I did a lot of that. But tort reform kind of changed that. In the old days, if you slipped on a banana peel, Walmart was screwed. It's not like that anymore. It's called, they changed the law, and it's called foreseeability. The only way they can get nailed now is if someone went up and said, you know what, there's a banana on the floor. And they said, okay, we'll get it when we can. And an hour later, someone slipped on that banana. Now they got huge trouble. And they're liable for that. But now the way it works, as long as the company isn't aware of whatever problem there is, if you just slip on a banana peel and it just happened to land there a minute before you got there, you're up shit creek because there's foreseeability. Nobody knew it was there. So the reform kind of protected the different companies from losing. If I tried antidepressants, yeah, have I ever? Big time. Tried them all. People don't understand it, but a lot of those antidepressants, there's people that are treatment resistant. They just never really get better. I mean, it may improve a little bit. If you look at double-blind studies, the placebo effect, the placebos are right up there with the real McCoy. So it's not always thinking about, I thought when I moved to Florida it'd get better. They call it seasonal affective disorder. I was living in Michigan, gloomy, dreary, cold. That wasn't it. After about 6 months, I was just as depressed in Florida as I was when I was living in Michigan in January. I've tried to outrun it, but I've been unable to do so. So I guess I just drive around and make YouTube videos. Yeah, you're right. Insurance claims risky. It does run in families, yeah. Well, okay, it sure does. Yeah, it could have been worse. I mean, I'm still better than my parents or my sister. So I got a little bit of a break. I'm just glad I never really turned to alcohol or substance abuse. I mean, I do, not counting tonight though with this dragon's milk. I usually drink one, maybe two. That's about it. I'm not an alcoholic. I never got a drunk driving ticket or anything, but it's always hard to say how people cope with things, you know? Do you use weed? You know, I've never smoked marijuana. I'm almost embarrassed to say that I haven't. Uh, I just never had an interest in doing it. Dragon's Milk is a kick-ass beer. It's made by, who makes this shit? I think it's, yeah, Holland, Michigan, New Holland. It's super beer. It's beer aged in bourbon barrels. I drink like one or two. It's great. I got a buddy of mine up here that's a physician that, you know, he makes great money and he's a wine connoisseur. And then the last year, I've really learned a lot about drinking wine, but I'd still rather drink Dragon's Milk. Do you know what blood type it has something to do? Yeah, I was an Rh negative, baby. You might be right. Starting to be recognized for their mental therapeutic effects. What is this CBD? Hey, I've tried everything. I'm not shitting you. I mean, I'll go okay for a while, and then just like hit like crazy lows. I notice I do get more depressed around the holidays, but it isn't because I don't have a girlfriend or I'm not loved or I don't have a hug or any of that. I think it's because it takes me out. Places are closed. I kind of get taken out of my daily routine. That's what starts it. Vitamin D. I've tried that. Believe me, I've tried everything. I've tried everything you could think of. I've seen more goddamn psychiatrists than I have dentists. So I mention it because I think it has a lot to do with me driving around and going into Detroit, to tell you the truth. And people asked me about it one time. And if anybody has it, it's nice to talk to people that, you know, have the same problems that you do. I really don't blame it on seasonal affective disorder. I actually like the cold, snowy nights. I tell people all the time I'd rather be in Anchorage, Alaska than Tampa, Florida in January. Yeah, something to occupy your mind. I wish it was that simple. I have I have been everywhere in Alaska. I actually went up to Alaska for 11 weeks one time and got dropped off by an airplane and didn't see anybody for the whole time. I've been from the top to Barrow to the bottom, the Aleutian Islands, every place in Alaska I've been. And I can kind of relate that to depression. You know, you're always looking for this like happiness or satisfaction. And I'd see these shows on TV about people moving to Alaska, and you're always trying to figure out, I moved to Florida, I moved to Chicago. I was talking to a psychiatrist one time. He said, well, what happened to Detroit? It's like, nah, nothing. You know, I just wanted to move to Florida. And he said, well, what happened to Florida? It's like, I just get sick of Florida. He said, well, what happened to Chicago? I said, I got sick of Chicago. He said, what's going to happen when you move from Chicago? I said, well, that's going to be fucked up too. So I learned after a long time that it didn't have anything to do with any relationship I was in. It had zero to do with how much money I made. It had nothing to do with all sorts of toys. It had nothing to do with going to Alaska. It had nothing to do with friends. It's just something that you have. It's not 'cause of anything. I mean, I never thought I was going to end up here. No, not manic oppressive. You know, I was diagnosed with that. And I do get some relief from some of those medications, but no, it's not the highs and lows. It's severe depression mainly that I have. And it doesn't last all the time. I mean, I could have it a month. I could have it 6 weeks. I could snap out of it. But crazy as it sounds, and I love Detroit for this, when I would get rock bottom depressed, I would drive down to Detroit at midnight, go up into those vacant buildings, the Packard plant, whatever, and go inside with a flashlight. I'd see all sorts of crazies walking down there. I could have gave two shits. I was never scared at all because when you're that depressed, it's almost like weird that you don't care if anything happens. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but it's almost like I sought out conflict. Weird. But I love Detroit. Only Jesus Christ. I'll tell you, try not to laugh too hard, but when I was in Chicago, I moved there in 98. And I was there about a week, and I was sitting eating at a diner. I didn't even have a regular place to live. I rented a hotel, left my wife, went there with a suitcase, didn't know anything. This is the kind of crazy shit you do when you're depressed. I get talking to this guy, and we meet again, and blah, blah, blah. And so it turned out he was a Catholic priest and eventually made Monsignor, which I didn't give a fuck. I went to one service one time that he had. So I'll fast forward. He was the greatest guy I've ever met. We talked about religion a lot, but it was never like, come to my parish, seek God, nothing like that. It was like a guy I was in the service with. Towards the end, he told me one night, I'm getting night sweats. Well, from the beginning to the end, I took him to the doctors. We went all over the place. He ended up getting diagnosed with lung cancer. Got a half a lung taken out. I got him in to set everything up for Cleveland Clinic. The ex-president from McDonald's Corporation, because we were in Chicago, chartered a limousine and an airplane for us, both ways, to take him down there. Well, about 6 months later, he died. I was like best friends with the guy. And that was, I wouldn't say a lot of it, but that was kind of the cherry on the top where I thought, I'm going to get out of Chicago. I could already see I was in a downhill spiral. And it was super expensive to live there. I bought a condo down there, like on the 32nd floor, and was already starting to think, man, I'm not going to be able to work, so I got the hell out of there. What was my most thrilling investigation ever? If you Google it, I did the murder investigation on Margaret Eby, E-B-Y, in Flint, Michigan. She was a U of M professor that was murdered. And that was on all sorts of crime shows, detective shows. There's a lot of it on the internet. There's some prick that wrote a book that describes me as being a Barney Fife. There's a bunch of fucking bullshit. Because my role was really never to solve the murder. It was to follow up on the things that the police department didn't have time to do. I can't think of this prick's name. If you Google books about Margaret Eby, what is this fucker's name? I'll tell you tomorrow, or I'll the next time. Somebody gave me a copy of the book, man. My blood pressure about blew my goddamn eyeballs out of my head. I wanted to kick his goddamn ass. His name's Tom Henderson, and it's a murder mystery written about Margaret Eby. That fucker. Well, they caught this guy later with DNA, but didn't have anything that I do. So I'd say that's probably one of the most interesting cases. What else did I was sued one time by a judge. If you're interested in case law, precedent that was set, it's Ravary, R-A-V-A-R-Y, versus Reed. That's me, Tom Reed. Google it. You'll find it. Hey, Nicole, how you doing? You'll see that all over the internet. And what that was is, on workers' comp cases in Michigan, if a company got nailed with an open award, it really sunk their ship, which meant that they would get lifetime medical and compensation. It was like the worst claim you could have. Well, there were a couple plaintiff attorneys that were constantly getting these open awards, and it was just odd. So they had me follow this judge around for a couple months, and he got wind of it finally, so he sued me, saying that I was hired to smear his reputation. Stuff. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit. I was hired to find out what a goddamn two-faced bullshitter he was, which I did. So he sued me. That was $56,000 to defend. But to tell you the truth, I had an insurance policy, which clients would make you get, and then you'd have to list them as an additional insured. So it didn't cost me a dime. And it was actually limited privilege for private detectives. So that was kind of cool, although it wasn't that big of a case. And I mean, I had probably 25 newspaper articles about me doing bullshit. It was. I've realized that newspapers will write more bullshit than you could ever imagine. They will just, if you wanted to, they'll believe anything that you tell them. There's no fact checking. And at the time, I was starting out as a PI, or I had a couple cases that were on the news or on the TV. It's such a bullshit, horseshit profession. I got to the point where if I was involved in something, they want to interview me, I didn't even want to talk to them. I know why people do that now, because it's just bullshit. Let's see. Haven't read that story. Found it. Yeah, found it. Yep. Michael, good job there. Yeah, that was a pain in the ass, They wanted to jail me over that. And the only reason Susan Borman was the judge, and I actually met her in chambers and kind of got in an argument with her, and she said she would jail me. Well, I got an emergency stay by the Michigan Court of Appeals at the last second. So just as that bitch was trying to lock me up, I got an emergency stay, which meant they waited until the next hearing and I didn't have to go to jail. Well, I never spending a day in jail. It was civil contempt, not criminal, and ended up beating the case. I hate to give you a spoiler here, but I'll tell you what happened. I mean, it looks like I won the case, but what happened is as time went on, this judge was politically connected, and they turned up the burner so high that the insurance ended up giving this guy like 15 grand just to settle the case. And about 2 weeks later, the verdict came out in the Court of Appeals. So if they'd have waited another 2 weeks, they wouldn't have had to give this guy a dime. But because they were panicking about, whatever, they gave him a cash settlement, which Beth them wasn't bad. Plus, he didn't have any damages. I didn't do anything wrong. But that's the way the game works. I can tell you anything you want about insurance claims. They want to get in and get out for as little money as possible. And that's why they would hire people like me to lower the dollar amount. If I can get you lying or out of your restrictions, it saves them money. So that's where I made my living for years. And the next thing I'll tell you tomorrow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up and figure out how to keep these chat questions open longer. They only come up for like 3 seconds, then they disappear. Oh yeah, that's it right there. Let's see, sounds like yeah, kind of corruption. That's a fine line. Your mother used to work for Borman's? Was that a detective agency or the milk company? Borman's Milk. If anybody's from Detroit, I wonder if they remember Melody Farms. There was a guy named Mike George that used to fund a lot of these Chaldean immigrants that would come into Detroit and open up party stores. I wonder if that guy's still alive or not. Yeah, I'm curious what you're talking about Borman's. It's great to see some other people stay up late like this. Let's see, sounds like... Do you have an Instagram where you... Oh, Farmer Jack. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I remember Farmer Jack was around. I have avoided Instagram. I mean, I hate Facebook. That goddamn thing would drive me nuts. I have a Facebook account. You'll see Thomas Reed, R-E-E-D, in West Branch, Michigan, but I got like 2 friends. That thing would drive me nuts. I don't even know really what Instagram is. Yeah, it's hard to catch up on WITBC. Yeah, so I don't know what is the advantage of Instagram. There's a girl on here on YouTube that has just got diagnosed with HIV about a year ago, and she has some channel, and I feel bad for her, and I'm glad she's doing well, but god damn it, man, she's just ringing out something she found out about a year ago all the time. Many of us are up late, no worries. Twitter, only YouTube. Yeah, that's all I do is YouTube. Yep. I think it's because I can connect it to video, just not photos. I had some more Facebook friends, but god damn, as crazy as it sounds, I don't have any interest in communicating with people I went to high school with. I mean, it was okay. I had a lot of friends. It was great. But once I got out of there, I wanted to get out of there for good. And I've had people contact me, and I never like accept their friend. I don't even answer their question. Me too, YouTube only. That's that a girl, Nicole. Yep, we're showing our age here. So, yeah, I guess Facebook's all right, but man, it's just so invasive. They drive you crazy. Think of the most social platforms as a human. The closer the site resembles our own limbic system, the more successful the platform. Yeah, it's a good argument for that, Michael. Yeah, you're probably right. You always kind of get drawn to people like yourself. All of these things are interconnected. Big Brother knows too much. Yeah, it's kind of true. I'll tell you who the biggest offender of them all is: Google. Those goddamn guys, they're probably printing off what I said through this whole interview and sending it to Uncle Sam. You'll never find a more invasive email or search engine than Google. I wonder how many of you people are familiar with Tor, the dark web, Tor. Have you ever fooled around with Tor and messed around and looked down there? Really, Tor is kind of interesting. That's where all that crazy shit in the world goes on. Yeah, check it out, Tor, Tor. It's safe to download their browser and go on there and look around. Plus, you can have your identity stripped. Nobody knows who you are. I know that a mouthful, basically photos that stimulate, yeah, dopamine centers and serotonin. Yeah, you're exactly right. I agree with that. Yeah, Tor, the dark web. They call it the dark web, but I'm not so sure that's true. There's a lot of good shit on Tor. What do you think about Russia? Fat ass 891. No, Michael, Tor is not unsafe at all. It's the opposite. You'll get that. Download their browser, that Onion browser. You will have a good time on Tor. Swear to God, I wouldn't steer you wrong. You're not going to get all these bullshit, ad-aware horseshit, cookies. Tor is great. If you want to send your worst enemy a shitty email, and they'll never know who sent it, Tor is the way to go. You don't want to use Google. You might as well just handcuff yourself and have a cab drive you over to the house of the email where you sent the email. But Tor is great. I highly recommend it. I've fooled around on those VIP servers and stuff like that. It was interesting, but I kind of got burnt out on Tor. But you can really be anonymous. No, Malka, check it out. I mean, always heard it was on. No, check it out. Tor is safe and it's interesting. I mean, I don't really give a shit who looks at what I search or what I'm into. It's no secret. I mean, come on over. I'll start it up and you can take your time and look through it while I go eat lunch. So it doesn't really bother me. But if you're really worried about people, obtaining a profile on you because of the websites you go to and the forums that you participate in, Tor's a way to go. Don't understand. I'll have to check it out. Might help with marketing. Yeah. It helps with sending shitty emails if you don't want to know where they came from. Marketing, I don't know about that. But Tor is super interesting. It is. It's free and the browser is super safe. It really is. I would highly recommend it if you're interested. They call it the dark web. It was like that for a long time, but as it's evolved, I wouldn't call it the dark web any longer. You can find out how to grow daffodils on there or how to hang your ex-wife. It's all on there. I can try, but can't download or upload. I am clueless. What's going on? Aaron Guadalupe. Just talking about different things. Just go on Google and read about Tor. It's nothing to be afraid of, though. And basically, it's like a sophisticated browser that conceals your identity. And, a lot of these places that, are doing weird shit want you to be able to access them anonymously. And you can do that. But it's a great browser unrelated to bad things. It's a bunch of bullshit. I'm reading Tor's Wikipedia. Yeah, it's very safe and it's fun. Yeah. I was really into Tor for about a year, and I was one of those relay stations that helped people log on anonymously, but I just got burnt out. Yeah, I noticed you can't own Facebook without a profile photo. I have an old account. Yeah, Facebook is the actual absolute worst. If you offered me $100 a month, I wouldn't be on Facebook swearing shit. I hate that place. How do you get Tor? Just go on, Google it, and download the Tor browser, and you're all set. Doesn't take up much space. It's an excellent search engine, and just go on there and fool around. Be fun. You really have a good time. You're not going to get viruses or anything like that. You'll have a lot of damn fun. There's just some kind of inherent fun of uh, nobody knowing what you're looking at. It's none of their goddamn business. I mean, the downside of it, I'm sure perverts are on the damn thing, and bank robbers. I mean, you could have a bank robber website. I'm not shitting you, but you'll be exposed to a lot of interesting things that you wouldn't be otherwise. Google uh, and these other popular browsers, they block a lot of stuff. He burned down their $1 million house that he built himself. No kidding, huh? Wow. Yeah, that's nuts. I was living down in Atlanta. I was living down there for about a year. And that Left Eye Lopez, she was going with that football player. He was in the pros by then, Andre Rison. That reminds me, she burned down his house when she heard he was fooling around. She ended up getting killed in a car accident. He's actually broke now, back in his own hometown in Flint, Michigan. Hell of an athlete. He's good in basketball and football. Good guy, I guess. Yeah, it was really unfortunate. Be careful what you wish for. A lot of these celebrities it's crazy how they get off the beaten track. It seems like they have everything, but they all seem miserable. Yeah, they do. Nicole, you're up late. I guess you're not an early riser. So that's all I know. So anybody have any PI questions, feel free to ask me. I can tell you all about it. Have you ever ordered anything? No, I never have. Laptop can cover up with black tape. Yeah, that's about it. Now, you could order stuff from Tor, though. I mean, for a while, people were ordering heroin on there and GHB and all sorts of crazy shit. Now there's fraud on there, too. But you could get anything. Yeah, always keep my laptop. Celebrities have other issues. Yeah, they sure do. You want to get LSD? Well, you probably get it on there. I'm not shitting you. You could probably get it on there. I think you can get anything on Tor. But like I said, it's just kind of cool to not worry about cookies and getting tracked. And you can get a VPN, a virtual private network. Yeah, I don't sleep much. Yeah, I used to be that way too. I'm a lot better now though. Would you allow for use of your pictures as part of that? You can be charged. Yeah, it's pretty hard though. I mean, it's not difficult to show that you didn't upload them. I'll tell you where you got to watch out is on your phone. Almost anything, when you agree to the terms and conditions, I don't give a shit if it's MapQuest to whatever, they have access to all your data and your pictures. What kind of dog have you? I saw it hanging out your vehicle. That dog is a mixed dog. I think it's part Lhasa Apso, and I don't know what the rest is. Super smart dog, great. Daisy's her name. Somebody asked about Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's a big scam, a big pyramid scheme. I think that'll go tits up, but I don't know when. I wouldn't fool with it. Shih Tzu, yeah, part of it's Shih Tzu. I don't know what the rest of it is. It's super muscular, weighs about 27 pounds, but has that jaw like a Shih Tzu or something. Great dog, super athletic, hunts, protective, sleeps with me every night. It's the best dog I've ever had. Really a sweetheart. Smart as hell. Yeah, so, yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy Tor. so easy, it's ridiculous. Everybody thinks like the government's going to be following when they're on tour. It's such bullshit. Guadalupe, I've been a private detective my whole life. That's all I've been. Yeah, Dave, thanks, Deb. Deb, you're a late night person too. Yeah, Daisy's a sweet dog. I am freezing in, is that Connecticut? Yeah, how about you? Yeah, I think it's 24 here, but there's no wind. I went out and filmed that airplane tonight, my last video, and it was cold. I let the dog run around a little bit. That's at our local airport. That's the UPS plane. Picks up the overnighters and stuff. I don't use an iPhone. Yeah, I guess iPhones take better picture and video, but I don't have one either. I have a buddy of mine that has one. He can never figure it out, and I sure as hell don't want to take the time to learn it. I don't have Apple anything. Yeah. Windy, miserable, and cold, huh? Yeah, boy, I tell you, it looks like it's a rough winter all over the place this year. It really is. We've had a cold winter. Even when I was down below, I mean, God, everything, you could see where everything had been frozen already. My inherent belief that I was going to miss something. Yeah, I used to be like that too. LG. Do you have any kids? Never had any kids. What's LG? Were you ever in danger investigating? No. I would say the only danger, I carried a gun for about 5 years. It was a pain in the ass. I'm not into guns. And, it's hard. It's a pain in the ass carrying a gun. So if any danger I was ever in, it was only because I was in a bad neighborhood and somebody thought they'd rob that guy in that van. Yeah, I know you have a lot of snow, Nicole. I just found, well, thank you, Carrie. I appreciate it. Oh, life's good. See, I'm showing my age again. That's good. So no, I don't think anything was ever scary or anything like that or dangerous. Not really. Nice to see all these people staying up so late. I mean, it's like 1:20 here or something like this. I could stay up all night, no problem. I've always been that way. Nicole, there are a lot of things you can take for sleep. And it's funny, a lot of doctors don't realize it. Ever married? Yeah, I'm married now. Haven't lived with my wife in 20 years. She lives in Florida with her boyfriend. Nicole, if you're having a hard time sleeping, tell your doctor, well, thank you, Malka. I appreciate it. Same age. Thank you, Bubba. Nicole, there's a drug with no side effects that works great. It's called Belsomra. 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 Have your doctor prescribe you that. You'll sleep like a baby. It's not a narcotic. And it has no side effects, and it will work. Belsomra. Try it out. Yeah, 56. Yeah. Did you ever extensively travel? No, not really. I mean, I've never really been, I collect hardcore. I have 5,000 photo albums. Most of them are from about 1850s all the way up to the 1920s. People ask me about it all the time. Actually, I'll show you my some of the stuff I collect. I've been trying to sell a lot of my artwork. I've sold all my stained glass, most of it. I have some up there, but I'll show you my photography and my photo albums. And I've collected negatives too. Glass and cellulite. Basement's a mess. So this is my basement. These are just a lot of the old photographs I have. These binders are all filled with Civil War letters, complete collections. Yeah, I got cut off from Ambien. Ambien's a bad drug. I was given that one time. Woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning while I was on an investigation. Peed all over my laptop. Shut the lid. And the next morning blamed management from letting someone in my room because I didn't know how my laptop got all wet. I'm not shitting you. That was the last Ambien I took. These are photo albums right here. These are all filled with Civil War letters. The books on the bottom are no big deal. I've collected hand drawings, hand pencil drawings for years. I was a huge vintage marble collector, but have sold all my collection in the last few years. So I'm thinking to get out of here. These are just some bullshit pictures, books that I've read, newer books. Those are more Civil War letters. These are old books. These are all photo albums here. These are all photo albums here. These are all photo albums here. If I go down here, these are all negatives. Glass and film. These are all, I'll turn on this light, show it to you. These are all negatives and photo albums here. These are boxes of negatives. All in here. See all these? See, these are all labeled and stuff where they're from. Those are all atlases from old counties. Like most of the 1850s, stuff like that. This is, there's another roll of photographs. Let me turn this on. These are all photo albums as well. All down here. Collect rocks too. So here's my other photo albums here. I've got albums everywhere, mainly the United States. I'm pretty specific about what I collected. These are photographs, so you kind of get an idea of all this stuff. I got framed pictures of the yin yang. So I'm planning on selling this stuff. I have an eBay name. It's Detroit River, all one word. These are all negatives. Glass negatives, circus, memorabilia. I mean, to tell you the truth, it's embarrassing to have this stuff. So this is just my basement. It used to be a lot more organized. But when you're thinking of selling something, you're not into it like you once were. Old Daisy's wondering why I'm not going to bed. So that's that. Kind of give you an idea what's going on. I'll show you some other things if you give a shit. Come on, Daisy. There's Daisy. Go on, hon. Go on, hon. Go upstairs. Go on, hon. I got like a spare bedroom in here that I never use, but I want to sell this stuff too. I was packing some stuff the other day. So I've collected a lot of circus photos. These are a lot of photos back here. That's a hand-carved bird cage. These are like all famous photos. It's a convict ship success. Look that up. Interesting. These are circus photos, mainly connected. Collected oil paintings too. I sold a lot of those. That needs to be restretched. Lamps. This is some shit when I was packing. This is a few stained glass I had left. I just sent some marbles. So these are just some crap that I'm slowly getting rid of. These are collected lamps too. Watercolors, photos. Crazy, man. This has to do with being nuts. Let's see. And then I keep the smaller bedroom. I don't know why I do that. Here's my bedroom. It's embarrassing. These are my books. Look at all this shit. Just books everywhere. My TV, more books. More books. More books. More books. More books, more photos. Damn air so dry. Run a humidifier. So that's all the bullshit I got, some of it. Well, this is a complete collection of like Civil War stuff. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's stupid. I never thought I was obsessive compulsive until I thought I'd sell some of this stuff. God damn, it's gonna take me. It's a burden now. Now that I'm thinking of leaving. Shit, it's taken me forever to get rid of this stuff. I like hand-drawn stuff too. That's very simple and cheap, but I liked it. I got some really great photographs. That's 1898 in downtown. This is cool. That's a downtown. It's the first mall in Cincinnati, Ohio. I got a lot of oil paintings. This guy was a syndicated artist. He died. I've read most of those books. That Birdcage would be hell of an auction. Always do a minimum bid, yeah. And that's about it. Photography. I got a shitload of computers too. I got about 5 computers. I gotta replace my desktop computer. Eccentric, yeah, shit. You're being kind. You have a big house. It's not really, this place is, when I looked around, I have had some nice houses. Not that that means shit. In Chicago and in Florida. But when I came up here, this is like a rural area. And houses are really cheap. This place is like, I don't know, 2,100 square feet or something. It's just a common condo. I'm definitely a condo guy. I don't want to fool around cutting grass or any of that. Yeah, you collect absolutely nothing. Right on, man. Less is more. That sure has been a hard lesson for me. I'm telling you, man, this is tied to this mental illness shit. Collecting all this stuff is ridiculous. But when you're in that mode, you're thinking, you're a preserver of history and that kind of stuff. I mean, that sounds better than being a lunatic. I have got so much money wrapped up. I did the same thing with those birds. I sold those birds for 500 grand. And I had probably 450 grand. Now, that was a long time ago when 500 grand really meant something. Shit, I couldn't afford them now. Those were the good old days. Now you gotta bust your ass to make 75 grand. Let's see, somebody asked me another question here about something. What was I gonna say? Not just material, but real stuff. Once upon a time, someone would be very interested in those civil. Yeah, you would think so. I mean, I've sold some pretty good stuff in the last year. Do I do drugs? Never tried drugs, not one. Never even tried marijuana. The stuff that I have, it appeals to a specific guy. I had some original Abraham Lincoln letters and some Matthew Brady photos, and I sold them through that Les Cowan auction in Cincinnati. What a fucking jerk he is. I wouldn't give them anything to sell. They sold for about half of what they should have. So this stuff does really well on eBay. As I said, my eBay name is Detroit River, one word. I've got the collection on there, but I'd have to sell it piece by piece. Yeah. I've tried to sell this all at once, but it's not easy. Life and its progress. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right, Bubba. Bunch of crooks. I've caught these auctioneers doing everything you could think of illegal. They are the most crooked bastards in the world. It almost seems like if you're not a crook, you won't make it long. So it's just a shitty, nasty industry. Really is. So, maybe eccentric's right. I mean, you have your certain personality. I mean, I don't know who'd put up with me, to tell you the truth. You have to be crazy. I've got like 3 computers. This desk I'm sitting at faces out my living room window. There is no woman that would ever put up with that shit. Clear the clutter, Tom. Yeah, you're right, man. What you collect owns you. That's no shit. I'm working on it. I probably got rid of about 10% of it. I think I'm going to sell all that circus stuff any day now. There's a guy that I've sold quite a bit of stuff to that lives in Atlanta. I'll make some videos of Atlanta. There's a famous hot dog guy down there that's been selling hot dogs for like 60 years. I'd like to go down there and interview him. Plus visit a guy that's a good guy that I've got to know.
Yep. So that'd be fun. Do something like that. Boy, this is crazy. I've been talking this long, but I like it. It's nice to like talk to people this late at night. And this is much different than like emailing. It's just, I will show my face. I will do that this week. It's just so weird, like pointing a camera at yourself and talking. Holy God. Oh, Carrie, you don't know me good enough. I wonder, Tom, if you read most of the books. I have read a lot of them. I read, that's my problem, man. I'm nuts. Uh, the James interview, what's that? I read about everything. I love like sciences. I love English. I love birds. I love animals. I love water. I love space. I love spaceships. I love airplanes. I love culture. I love linguistics. I mean, I'm fucking crazy. I mean, you're seeing me in a happy, talkative, nice mood. But living with a guy like me is like impossible, man. Oh, president of the airport. Oh, okay. President of the airport. What is your favorite animal? Yeah, I gotta say a dog. I really do. I really like dogs. I'm a total animal lover. I like that it was downvoted badly. Oh, James, president of the airport. I'll tell you, I got a. James is a good guy. He's an autistic kid. Super good guy. That's why I disabled the comments because I was afraid that he would go on there and read those and it would just absolutely kill him. He is super sensitive. So I sold it to him that because he doesn't like Trump, I was afraid that he'd get confused some of the comments people made. So he understood that. He's a great kid. I love all the animals. Don't even kill a spider. You know, I damn near fell off a 32nd floor balcony trying to save a spider. No shit. I actually slipped on the other side, but was able to climb up and caught myself trying to save a spider. It's nuts. Yeah, I love bird. I've been a big time beekeeper too. I had 100 hives at one time. I didn't have much success with them up here because it's too cold in any place that I could have them with a decent deck angle. When the days are short and the deck angle's low, we have so many trees around here that as crazy as it sounds, in December, January, February, I don't get enough sunlight during the daytime. And the Langstroth hive, which is what you'll normally see in books, is the worst design ever made. Beekeeping is totally exploitive. It's total horseshit. So I got out of that too. I figured autism. He's very smart. He is about certain things. He's an expert on airline fares and he knows every gas station at every exit for 300 miles. Carnival Marys a Rock. Yeah, I didn't get to finish reading that. Yeah, beekeeping was great. I learned a ton of beekeeping. Fantastic. These bees create that honeycomb just perfect in the dark. Beekeeping is so fascinating. If anybody out there ever wants to get into beekeeping, I know everything about it. Anything you want to know. How to set up your hives, what kind of hive to use, where to get the queens, how to split hives, the best place to keep them, food, how to protect them in the winter. Yeah, I know. If I know so goddamn much, why did mine die? Well, I knew it was probably a bad place to begin with, but I gave it a shot. Do I ever get depressed? Shit. You should have tuned in earlier. The worst. I have struggled with depression my whole life. Are you familiar with the Applebee farms? You know, I've seen something on Applebee. I think they're a big broker like Honey. I could be wrong. There's so many apple something honeybee farms. It seems like I have Applebee. Yeah. Most of these guys, though, if you look at like beekeepers on YouTube, they are so full of shit. These people have actually passed themselves off as good stewards of nature. It's the opposite. It's totally exploitive. A lot of these beekeepers, like the ones out in the West Coast for the almonds, they will just let the bees die after they pollinate the almonds. They don't plan on them making it through a winter. Such horseshit. Are you in medical or aviation? I was in aviation for a long time. No, I've been a pilot for like 30-something years, but I haven't flown much. My favorite thing to eat, crab legs. I still eat meat too, which, god damn it. Yeah, most YouTubers are fake as hell. You're not kidding, man. There's a lot of strange people. Bees are good for the environment, but let me tell you, that's another sham these beekeepers run on you. Pollination occurs through a lot of different ways. It occurs through the wind, other insects. It's not just bees. All these people bitching about the bees dying are commercial people. Ben and Jerry's, the ice cream guys, were the first ones. They couldn't get enough almonds. Bees weren't even in this country till about 1840, and they didn't have any problem at all. It's when you're trying to pollinate 8,000 acres of watermelon you need bees. And actually, bumblebees are better pollinators than honeybees. The problem is everything but the queen dies in the winter, and they're not that many of them. But a bumblebee is a hell of a pollinator, especially if you look at like blueberries. Honeybees, you can tell they get their feet stuck in them, and it's just a pain in the ass. That old bumblebee trucks through there. They'll pollinate 20 acres of damn blueberries in no time. Tons of shells. Frequencies, hey man, I wouldn't rule it out. Having a woman and having a hobby, yeah, pretty much seems like that when you're excessive, that's for sure. Really does. There must not be any decent guys over there, because these older women up here are always trying to introduce me to somebody. I always come up with some big excuse. It's definitely not like it was younger. I can remember my sister was the first single female owner of a McDonald's franchise. And she's 16 years older than I am. And she was starting to make pretty good money when I was in college. And she was always traveling around and gone, so I'd be able to have access to the house. And I would take girls that I would meet in college up north, and it was like 140 miles from campus. And it was like so damn exciting. I was going to have the whole house to myself. Then I ended up getting my pilot's license, and I'd fly up here, and somebody from McDonald's would have to come down and get me. It was the good old days. I wish I could get 2% that excited about something now. It was just so damn fun. My thoughts on marriage. I'm married now, except I haven't lived with my wife for 20 years. For a guy like me, not very good. For most other people, I think it's good. I mean, if you want to have kids and, share. I don't have anything against it. It just didn't work out that great for me. But I could have predicted that early on. It wouldn't have mattered who I got hooked up with. It would have ended like not great. I would have taken up. If you met some of the women that I've left, it would confirm, including my wife, how fucking nuts I am. I swear to God, you would love my wife. She's educated, attractive. Why did I leave? I mean, I'm not entirely certain why I did, but it wouldn't have mattered if it was her or somebody else. It's a part of a personality quirk. It's not a good part of a personality to have, that's for sure. Hey, you guys ever eat this trail mix? That autistic kid's mother buys this for me all the time. It's Mountain Trek Mix. You got to get it at like Sam's Club. It's like 1,000 times better than the trail mix you get at Walmart. My dad looked into McDonald's. Yeah, she got her first McDonald's in '78. All the good locations are gone now, though. High maintenance women. Nah, I never went into those high maintenance ones too much. They're just, your dad died broke, yeah. So did my sister, and she owns 6 of them. Yeah, high carb food, you're right, it is. I'd throw out the raisins. I wish you could get trail mix without raisins. Bubba, are you a health nut? Try and watch what you eat. That's all right. Nicole, you still with us? Oh, okay. Your wife at raisins? Yeah, I don't like raisins that much. High in sugar, too. All right, Nicole. I guess you can't sleep. Nicole, I'm serious. Belsomra. If you have a problem sleeping, take that. No side effects. You'll sleep like a damn baby. You'll fall. It's way better than Ambien or any of that crap. Melatonin, bullshit. Walgreens has extended release melatonin, but it's bullshit. That Belsomra, you'll sleep like a damn baby. If I didn't think I'd get arrested for sending it to Canada, I'd have about 10 left I'd send you. Yeah, bonding with someone nowadays is like eating concrete. Yeah, you got my vote. Yep. This is so great everybody stays up this late. I got a dentist appointment tomorrow, but it's not till 11:30. Have to get a crown. Bill, what? What did I say about that? Bubba Fuddpucker? Nicole, I'm serious, man. That'll be your magic pill. It is a prescription, yeah. But it's like benign as far as side effects. It's excellent. When you go, hopefully you have a good doctor because you're going to need to jump through a few hoops. It's expensive, and you're going to need to fail at a couple things before. But if you've got a good doctor, you're home free. If you don't, get another doctor. Belsomra, you'll love it. Swear to God, Miss Nicole, you know how it is when you have lack of sleep. Shit, I was like that 10 years. And I'm not like that anymore, but it's miserable not sleeping. Yeah, the only reason I mentioned my dentist appointment is because, I can stay up late and not worry about it tomorrow. Good. Yeah, Nicole, that'll work for you, I swear to God. But your dentist has got to be diligent. They're going to want to give you some bullshit that doesn't work, and you got to say it doesn't work, and then you'll finally get to where you'll need Belsomra. They'll give it to you, too, because there's some liability if they don't give you the latest medicine. It's funny, a lot of doctors don't use it. I ran into a neurologist down in Ann Arbor. This guy owns a sleep clinic. A sleep clinic. This dumbass had never heard of Belsomra. Mind-blowing. That'd be like going to a mechanic and he never heard of a crescent wrench. It's like, what? Belsomra. Belsomra. Sleep like a damn baby. And you'll get up and won't be groggy or nothing. You use like Benadryl. There's some pretty good studies where Benadryl is linked to Alzheimer's and dementia. I'm not shitting you, man. Read up on it. Google it. Taking a bunch of Benadryl doesn't look like it's very good for you. Yeah, Belsomra, Bubba. That's right. Yep. Excellent. Somebody just mentioned their dad died from something. I'm telling you, I didn't sleep for like 10 years, and it is the absolute worst feeling in the world. It really is. All sorts of shit goes wrong when you can't sleep. It's terrible. Aches, pains. Your pain threshold really goes down too. Everything hurts. I have it very bad, huh? Yeah, you'll always be tired, Nicole. You won't feel like doing anything. Put a dish in the sink, not want to finish it off. Before you know it, there's 3 dishes in there. Going past oil changes in your car, skipping dental appointments. Yeah, that's no shit. You'd be getting into car wrecks if it gets too severe. No shit. Plus you're always crabby. You don't feel like doing anything. You get the lack of sleep. You don't feel like doing anything. Except sleeping. You can't do it. It's miserable. I sympathize with you. I think that Belsomra will be your answer.
I got a buddy of mine that's a doctor up here. Actually, that autistic kid is his son. So I'm privy to a lot of scientific studies and seminars that I otherwise wouldn't be. That's how I know a lot of this stuff. Plus, I read about a lot. This good trail mix. Yeah. Hey, Bubba, what do you do? What do you do for work? Nicole, you retired? Or you still working? But if you're working, you must work afternoons. Small engine tinker. Oh, good for you. Not a gigolo, are you? You know, I had a buddy of mine that was a gigolo. When Fear Factor first came out, he won like the 5th episode. His name's Chad Harper, Harper. That's all he's done is live off women. Oh, drove 20 years for you, wrecked. Oh, you're probably on disability then, huh? But this guy won that Fear Factor. He actually modeled full time. All those people on Fear Factor were professional models, but they never told you that on the show. Male stripper, yep. Made big money, I believe it. Michael, you don't know Chad, do you? Chad was a good-looking guy. He looked like James Dean. Then he got fat, bald, and a hair transplant, and he's married to a retired stripper. Yeah, no kidding. I like my avatar. A blurry picture of a computer screen and an open bag of trail mix. Yeah, I'll tell you, man. He proved to me, when I met him, I was a lot older than he was. We played in the same basketball league in Chicago. And I'm not shit, you know, we would go places and women would recognize him from Fear Factor and just want to take him right back to their room. He was a gambling addict. He won 50 grand from Fear Factor and spent it in about 2 months playing Texas Hold'em in Las Vegas. We went to Tunica, Mississippi one time and all these broads wanted to bang him. And we got like a month of free rooms and free food and all sorts of comp bullshit because they wanted to bang this guy. If I hadn't have been with him, I would have never believed it. No shit. There'd be notes slid under the door, all sorts of shit. It was unbelievable. Look him up, Chad Harper, Fear Factor. His looks didn't last long, though, I'll tell you that. Women go nuts for male strippers. You know, a lot of time, at least what I think, women go to male strip clubs to have fun. Guys go to strip clubs to see nude women. It's different. I'm not saying that, you know, nothing else happens, but by and large. Yeah, Michael, you're right. My friend stripped in Windsor. We're at Jason's. Jason's is pretty much dead. Actually, I'm good friends with the people that own the Tim Hortons up here where I live, and they're from Windsor. And they knew all about that. Bubba, did you fool around Windsor much at all? Oh, Nicole. Nicole, you're so innocent in a way. It was in the zone. Oh, okay. Yeah, they just made like crazy money, but the strip club scene has kind of died out. You know, I went to them once in a while when I was younger. But, I mean, if they were like the old days, I may stop in one, but I'll tell you, the last couple times I was in a strip club, which was a long time ago, just these big, fake-titted, sun-damaged bimbos with these ugly-ass tattoos and this streaked, crappy, dyed blonde hair. It's like, God damn, man, I'm paying for this. It wasn't like that when I first started going to them when I was young, but it's really changed. Be like these Kardashians. I can't figure out for the life of me how anybody thinks these Kardashians are attractive. God damn it. I'd kill myself if I had to go to bed with one of them. No interest in strippers. Yeah, they're gross now. You are exactly right. They're gross now. Yeah, I didn't need to be going to those places anyway. Not good for you. It's changed so much. Plug your ears, Nicole. We're talking about strippers. Yeah. Hey, now, Nicole, I mentioned this to you before. You know, I was in Chicago. There was a hockey player there, Joe Murphy. You guys look this up, Joe Murphy. I used to play racquetball with him. He's homeless now, living in Kenora, Ontario. Look it up on Google. They got a couple mini documentaries on him. Good-looking guy, nice guy. Girls always wanted to meet him. He's homeless now. He looks like he's 80 years old. Just unbelievable what 20 years did to him. No, those Kardashians are nasty. And they're bitches, too. Just ruin your damn life. Lots of riches to rags, yeah. I just don't get it. That one guy damn near killed that basketball player with their bullshit. No, I think that would be like a prison sentence. To like hang out with the Kardashians for like 2 years. I would rather like go to prison instead. So boring. Yeah. I mean, there's really not even that much on TV that really get 159 channels and it's all bullshit. Selling you some junk. I watch nature shows, a little bit of ESPN. I've really lost a lot of interest in sports. Hey, when I was living down in Chicago, I met a lot. I played basketball with Michael Jordan about 3 times. I beat Scottie Pippen in horse. I know Tim Grover, the guy that's trying to promote these positive books right now. And really met a lot of cool people. Yeah, nature shows are great. Yeah, Bubba, you're right. That's exactly right. I was going to tell you something about Chicago. What else? Uploaded about Great Lake Cemetery. Headstone clean. Oh, that's very nice, yes, Sand Skeleton. It's a beautiful place. I actually, took a friend of mine whose uncle died to Detroit. And her dad's buried there, and it's kind of in between where we went and West Branch. So we stopped by there. Good night, Deb. Thanks for being a part of the conversation. Yeah. It's funny, you put on these YouTube videos, and here it'll be something like driving down I-75, and I put music to it. And here you'll have some neurosurgeon give a lecture, have like 10 views. Or I'll take a little video of these veterans, and nobody watches it. It's just mind-boggling that a squirrel trying to get in a bird feeder gets 1,000 times more view than a neurosurgeon giving a lecture about aneurysms. Holy shit. I mean, what does this world come to? Actually, I'm surprised people watch my stuff. It's embarrassing kind of to me. I'm doing all this brain-numbing bullshit, and other people like it too. I really love the thought of sharing it with people. Maybe if I had a girlfriend or a wife, I wouldn't be this way. But I'm glad I don't have a girlfriend or wife, so maybe this is the way to go. Somebody just asked me a question, too. Hold on, it'll come up again. Another thing on this, when you're on this live chat, you can't tell how much battery power you have left. I just went on to talk with a few of these people, and thank you. It's been fun. But I can't believe I've been on here for an hour and 49 minutes. They must think I'm an absolute lunatic. Let's see. Can I ask a question? Yeah, absolutely, Jennifer. No problem. Ask anything you want. Yeah. Hey, these streetwalker interviews, they're not that easy. For every one I get an interview with, there's 10 that tell me to get lost. Those people have short attention span. Yeah, I know I have one. Getting tired? No, not crazy. Penny died of what her family says is a heart problem unrelated to her work. And if that's what they told me, that's what I'm going to go with. Family was very nice, super supportive. She had nieces that just missed her so bad and tried to do everything for her. But she died actually of a mini stroke related to a heart attack. What happened to Penny was murdered. Guy caved her head in with a rock. Yep, hit her in the head with a rock. I was told it was over a $10 debt. I don't know if that's true or not. I took down that video because her preacher asked me to do that. I take down any video anybody asks me to do. It's not just interviews with these girls. I would do it, no problem. I still keep in touch with Angel's family. No, I would never keep a video up that somebody was offended by or didn't like. Let's see here. Yeah, it's the sad life of these girls. Just see a pretty girl walking down a dark entranceway to an expressway at 3 in the morning, looking to have sex with some stranger for $20. Break your damn heart. I gave a little lecture at a college for police cadets about a month ago. I couldn't even help but not get emotional talking about them. It's so damn sad. It's a myth with hookers. There are a lot of nice people. Walked the streets and eventually died. God, Megan, that is so damn sad. Was she an identical twin? Not that it matters that much. That is so sad. I mean, the girls aren't around like they used to be, which I'm not all that upset with because I don't want to go looking for street women. It just happened to work out that way before. But it is the saddest life ever. Just make you sick to yourself. And I did buy him food, gave money, all sorts of shit, but I didn't want to ever do it on video. And I did pay him for the interviews. Yeah, sorry about that, Megan, really. It's terrible. So sad, man. Really is. So who else is out there? Boy, I'm glad I'm hooked up to Wi-Fi. I think I got my desktops about ready to die. I was looking at new ones on Amazon. Desktops are cheap now. They really are. Nice to hear from them. Yeah, Jennifer, I just turned the camera on. I mean, it was interesting to me as well. I get people thinking I exploited them. I mean, I paid them for the interviews, and I did other things that I never talked about. People always sending me, I get emails, I got blowjobs and stuff, and, I get the shittiest emails every day. I'm going to start saving them and showing them to you people. Yeah, that old Ideal bar, I've talked to that guy before. He's an interesting guy, super intelligent guy. Lives in there with no heat. It is such a cool place. Did you guys go to dinner? Yeah, I took him over to a Lebanese place. No, he didn't want me to buy, but I did. Good night, Megan. Thank you. Yeah, he's an interesting guy to talk to, man. I mean, as nuts as it sounds, that is one cool-ass building. See how you just dropped right off there into the river and you saw that kick-ass factory making steel in the middle of the night? Birds flying around, raccoons climbing up the side of the place. It's got it all. Good night, Malka. Thank you. Hey, Tim. Yeah, yeah, Bubba, I knew that Talil Shaheen, the guy who fled with about $20 million. His sister-in-law, the FBI agent that searched records for him, that was a 60 Minutes interview. Talil was a good guy. His kid actually got convicted for murdering a girlfriend's boyfriend. And he's got life in prison, I think, without parole. But Lashish was the name of him. He was a good guy. I've always thought of getting a hold of him on Facebook, but I don't want to be audited the rest of my life by the IRS. Yeah, Prouty was that lady's name, Proty. If you look that up on Google. A lot of good people have horrible kids. Yeah, that is the absolute truth. I would agree with you on there. Yep. They sure do. Yeah, Dearborn's got. I lived in Dearborn for, I think about 6-7 years. It's a great town. Still like it. When I go to Detroit and do videos, like over a 2-day period, I stay at the Red Roof Inn in Dearborn. Yeah. Yeah, good for you, Bubba. Good responsible. It's good parenting, good genes, and part of it's luck. Really is. Yeah, adversity builds character. I believe that's true. Yeah, I sure do. Yep. I really think that's how it is. Yeah, I do. It's great just staying up late like this, not have to get up the crack of dawn. Love this. What doesn't kill you? Yeah, no kidding. You ready to go to bed, huh? I got a dog that starts driving me nuts about 1 a.m. Wants to go to bed. Scratches my leg. She's over there staring now. You want to go beddy, honey? You want to go bed? You want to go beddy? Daisy, you want to go to beddy, don't you? She'll give me the stare down. You want to go to bed, hon? You want to go beddy? Want to go beddy? Then she'll start pulling on my pants. No shit, this dog lives to go to bed. I'll go, hon. You want to go beddy? You want to go bed, hon? You want to go to beddy? Hey, Nicole, you're supposed to be going to sleep. See? Now she'll start pulling on my pants. We go beddy, honey. Yeah. We're going to go to bed, okay? You want to go beddy? Huh? Do you want to go beddy? All right, you guys. Well, I think I'm going to go to bed, brush my teeth. The dog certainly wants to go to bed. Hey, it was great doing this. I want to set up these chats where we have a regular time, man. This has really been a lot of fun. I thank you guys, man. I've just been sitting here surfing the net, and this is much more interesting. Find out what you people do and where you live and get requests, that kind of thing. Good night, Nicole, and check that medicine out. Yeah, hey, Bubba, I mean, you're pretty good at comments and figuring things out. Try and figure out a time when we could do this, and it would be a good time. 69 Goat, yeah, thank you. Have a great night. You too. All your input's great. It'd be great if everybody could just add a little, and we could figure out a good time that'd work for most people. Yeah, this is 2 hours I've been talking to people. They will think I'm an absolute lunatic. Because these lives look like shit, it's like some stupid half-baked picture. And then they'll look at 2 hours and it's like, oh my God. I'll probably set a record for thumbs down. Great. Hey guys, well, I'm going to hit the hay. Go to bed. So thanks everybody for talking. This has been super. It really got me in a good mood. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you in the next day or so. Thanks again and good night.
Good night, Nicole. See you, Bubba. 69 Goat, thank you. Hey, Tim. Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys later.